understanding the foreign language and my pronunciation in Vietnamese. Doing online language exchange, I'm learning Vietnamese with my language partners for 19 months already. It's quite a long time. And then I focus on speaking and listening rather than reading because uh, communication is to 90% in the speaking and listening. So it's very important. After listening, maybe I can improve my pronunciation as well. And also, I'm talking about here and then about target languages. We should know about uh, the language, foreign language. Uh, yeah, about letter means consonant and vowel like alphabet, and then also the history of people who speak uh, Vietnamese, for example. And then my language partner should know about Hangul, Korean alphabet, and then Korean, who speak Korean languages. So historically, when we try to understand foreign languages, and then the language history is sometimes very short. For example, Korean Hangul is about 600 years, and then Vietnamese, and then the alphabet is Vietnamese about maybe 200, 300 years old. But even though, and then Korean people speak Korean, and then for many years, since we don't know exactly, but spoken languages spoken in around the Korean Peninsula, and also the Vietnamese, and then the spoken, and historically for many years. So, and then we should know about the background of the history. And then and now I'm talking about Vietnamese. And then the language Vietnamese, I understand. And then um, the people in Vietnam, and historically the northern Vietnam now, and then there's uh, long history. They have long history like Korea. And then the origin of the Vietnamese, and then uh, from northern part of Vietnam and highland, and also they like it with south Viet, and then in historically, and then Vietnamese people speak Vietnamese, but uh, like Korea, and then Vietnam also use Chinese character, and for many years. And then in 12th or 13th century, they use named Junom. Junom is invented by Vietnamese scholar, and then is created by adding Chinese character. So, and then Junom have been used, and but it's very difficult word and a difficult character. And then maybe 17th century, and then the missionary, and then from Europe, and then the missionary, they try to communicate, understand the Vietnamese sound by writing the Latin, and then now and then they invented the Vietnamese alphabet, and many Vietnamese people can use communicate with the alphabet because there's a unique alphabet, have a tonation, and then yeah, Vietnamese characters alphabet are very unique, and then there's some tonation, and there have some interesting system have, and then it's not easy at all, and then but I try to know understand because I'm reading the subtitle of Vietnamese to build vocabulary. Then and then I can understand a little bit, but not easy anyway. In terms of pronunciation, it's not easy. In terms of pronunciation, it's not easy. In terms of pronunciation, it's not easy. So and about that, okay. So I talked about Vietnamese language and the history of Vietnamese, and then but the spoken language is most important rather than the characters, alphabets. But we should know about that all the history about that. So and then when I know about Vietnamese well, the Vietnamese language well, then I can understand. Many words consist of Chinese character like Korean. Then Korean language, Korean vocabulary, it's made of Chinese character. Nowadays, in Korea, we don't use Chinese characters. So and then actually the pronunciation, for example, and then even we use a Chinese character from the word from Chinese character. So and then only the China, and then they use a simple character, and then Taiwan they use original, in Hong Kong as well. And Japan, they have Japanese hiragana, katakana, and Korea has Hangul, and Vietnamese has Vietnamese. Then and the pronunciation are different, but very similar. The words are very similar. That is a very interesting part. Words are very similar. That is a very interesting part. Okay, so and then the next, I can understand my pronunciations by recording myself, and then accidentally I didn't share the contents. I only recorded my face, my self. Then and then I check out my pronunciation. It's very little shy to speak openly, but um, yeah, Vietnamese is a very difficult word. And then even the Vietnamese people say that Vietnamese is difficult in pronunciation. I know, I understand that. And then I try to speak, but about 10% only correct. Then 90% incorrect. So and then it's very different. It's very failed in the feeling that not good. But I try to speak, and then maybe my language partners can help me to improve my pronunciation. I ask them some what after listening after listening to my stories in Vietnamese after then, and let I ask let me know the song the my pronunciation, something long, and then with the help of language partners that maybe they can help. I also can help if my language partners can openly or not open is okay. They record and their voice, and then I can do. Actually, to improve speaking skills, speaking itself is very important. So practice speaking and by recording and listening, and then nowadays, after we doing that, and then I can use the AI, then and I can get a content. Even though I talk about now in Vietnamese and in my pronunciation, even though I have some mistakes in my speech, and then I can get good result from AI. Now I can do that. So I can I can copy this what I'm talking and then go AI, then I can get a content about Vietnamese language and then my pronunciation. So here I can copy this. Then ask, make contents of foreign language in just like Vietnamese, my target language, and analyzing my pronunciation with the help of language partner after proofreading with it. Proofreading with it, and then go my content, and then with the help of AI, I can oh, impressive. Very impressive. This way help me to improve my target language and very understandable. Very, very understandable. Yeah. I can add and then paste it and I try to read the newly proofread one with a good grammar and then good vocabulary. You're sharing a very thoughtful and deep impression on your language learning journey, especially with the Vietnamese as your target language. I understand you're trying to learn Vietnamese mainly through speaking and listening because communication is mostly over. Record your speech to analyze the pronunciation. Work with language partners who have correct your pronunciation after listening. Use AI tools to properly and develop content, even if the original speech contains mistakes. Understand the history and structure of your target languages like Vietnamese and Korean to build deeper knowledge. Emphasize spoken language more than reading and writing while still recognizing the importance of the alphabet and the historical background. Let me help by organizing your thoughts clearly and improving the structure so this can become useful content for others. Maybe even in a blog presentation or video, here's a revised version of your message. My language learning journey with Vietnamese 19 months in. I've been learning Vietnamese for 19 months now, mainly through online language exchange. During this time, I realized that communication is 90% about speaking and listening, not just reading or writing. That's why I focus more on speaking clearly and understanding native speech than memorizing grammar, rule, or vocabulary list. Why speaking and listening first? And then when I speak and record myself, I get to hear my actual pronunciation. Sometimes it's disappointing. Maybe only 10% correct and 9% wrong. But it's part of the learning. After recording, I listen to myself, reflect on the pronunciation, and ask my language partners for feedback. They often point out to what sounds natural and then what doesn't. Sometimes they even record their voice for me so I can mimic them and improve. I also use AI tools to help read my speech and create new content based on what I said, even if there are mistakes. That's the beauty of this process. Mistakes become pure progress. Understanding the structure and history of the language is also important to understand the deeper structure of a language like the alphabet. For example, Latin-based script in Vietnamese, Hangul in Korean. Tones and pronunciation system, especially difficult in Vietnamese. And even the history of the people who speak the language. And for example, Vietnamese use Chinese characters Chu Han and Chu Non for centuries before adopting the Latin-based Hung Nu system created by missionaries in the 17th century. That alphabet made the language more accessible, but pronunciation is still complex because of tones and consonant uh, clusters. Similarly, Korean has this unique writing system, Hangul, developed around 1443. But spoken Korean, it is long before that. Understanding these histories helped me connect more deeply with the language I study. My system, record, reflect, revise, 3R. Record, reflect, revise. Record myself speaking freely in Vietnamese. Reflect by listening and comparing with native speaker. Revise using AI tools and feedback from my language partner. Repeat. And then the process regularly. 4 hours. It's very unique. 4 hours. Record myself, reflect, and revise and repeat. It's a good way. Sometimes I speak about technical topic like economics or culture, which help me develop the vocabulary. In real context, I found this more effective than studying from textbook alone. Yeah. Why knowing the history and alphabet help? Even though I focus on speaking, understanding the written form and the language history is important inside. For example, um, Vietnamese, Japanese, Korean, and Chinese have mainly shared Sino origin word, while only China has a uses simplified character. Taiwan and Hong Kong use a traditional character, and Japan and Korean have developed their own systems. I think this has mean notice the word origin and the pronunciation similarity between languages. Continuous improvement. Even if only a small percentage of my pronunciation is correct, I don't give up. Each mistake is a clue to improvement. I try to build a habit for speaking out loud, asking for feedback, and using AI tools to track my progress. Sometimes I share my recording only with myself, sometimes with my language partner, either way. And this process builds confidence and skill. And I need to about that four things. And then about the way record, uh, re reflect, revise, repeat is a good way. Support R is a good way to learn, practice, learn foreign language. Uh, would you explain in detail about the 4R? This way is very impressive. AI give me that, and then I don't know why AI give me this feedback, record, reflect, revise, repeat, because I analyze my voice. So, and then this one is very impressive for me. And I am trying to, yeah, and then and this way, um, and it's very good too about it. And then I can go up here, and then even though this one is key point now, and then I can go adding about for R. Then to read, record, reflect, revise, repeat is a good way to practice learning a foreign language. Absolutely, record, reflect, revise, repeat. It's a powerful and practical method for learning a foreign language, especially for speaking and pronunciation. It's a simple breakdown that you or other can use as a guide or even content to share. The 4R method for learning a foreign language, record, reflect, revise, repeat. Record record. Speak naturally on a topic, introduce yourself, share your daily routine, or explain a concept using your phone, computer, or any voice recorder. Why? Speaking out loud forces you to produce language, reveal what you can say confidently and where you headed. Reflect and listen to your own recording. Ask yourself, did I pronounce that word correctly? Do I sound natural? Now my sentence is clear and logical. You can also compare it with native audio. For example, YouTube, podcast, AI voice. Yep, this is where self-awareness goes. It's okay to notice many mistakes. That's how you improve. Revise. Use AI or language partner to correct your grammar or pronunciation. Suggest better use expression or sentence structure. Teaching you how native will say it. Try shadowing or repeating the correct version after your partner or AI voice. Important. Don't just correct, say it again with the correction. That's how it sticks. Repeat. Now record again using the record corrected version. Try to sound more natural and fluent. Each time you cycle through the 4 R's, your confidence and accuracy will improve. Okay. Keep all recording. You will be amazed at your progress after a few weeks or months. While work, if you're speaking fluency, it develops listening and pronunciation awareness. It encourages real communication, not just textbook knowledge. It's personalized, it's on what you want to say. Okay. You are sharing a very thoughtful. Okay, now stop. I got 4 R's and then record, reflect, revise, repeat. Good.